Welcome to the third video of System Programming and Compiler Construction. Let's continue with the first module, that is Introduction to System Software. Till now, we have completed the topics that are marked in red, that is, why do we need a system software? What is the concept of system software? What are the goals of system software? What is a system program and how does it differ from system programming? And we have also seen one of the system program, that is assembler. In this video, we will be covering macroprocessor, loader, and linker. Let's begin. A macro represents a commonly used group of statements in the source programming language. That is, if in my program I have some statements which might be repeating again and again, then I group those statements into something which is known as macro. Macro instruction is a notational convenience for the programmer. Macro instructions are single line abbreviations for a group of sequential instruction. Assume that there are some lines of code in my program which are going to be executed sequentially. I can group those instructions into one line code, and this single line abbreviated code is known as macro. Macro instructions are basically a convenient way for a programmer to write its program. Let us understand the same with the help of a programming example. So I'll be writing a C program on this platform, which is Quincy. Basically, C program and C++ program allows us to write programs in macro, or it allows us to write macros. So whenever we want to write macro in C programming, I use this hash define statement. Hash define is followed by the name of the macro. See, I'll put a very simple example. Say, for example, if I want to add two numbers, so I'll say add A, comma, B. Now, this particular thing, or add A, comma, B, is nothing but my macro name. If you can just observe, this is my macro name. This macro name is followed by the macro instruction. I want to add two numbers, so the instruction is what? A plus B. Now, I will be using this macro in my program. So for that, I write hash include stdio.h. I have int var, int result. Then I'll say result is equal to add a comma b. I'll give values directly, say 10 comma 5. And I'll say printf addition is equal to %d comma result, and then I'll say return 0. So to make you understand, this is the name of my macro. This is my macro name. This is my macro definition. And this is my macro call. Okay. Now, ideally, what I said is, if I have some lines of instruction which are sequentially executed, so this is the instruction which will be executed sequentially. I replace this instruction with my macro name. So this is my macro name, and these are my macro parameters. So again, this is my macro name, and these are my macro parameters. So you call this as macro instruction. This is macro definition, and this is macro call. Whenever a macro is called, the system replaces this call with its instruction. So this call will be replaced by 10 plus 5, because the value of A is 10 and the value of B is 5. So this line will be replaced by 10 plus 5. Okay, let us see whether this executes or not. Trying to save this program. and I try to execute it.
Yes.
So we have got the answer, addition is equal to 15. Okay. So this is just a very simple example where I'm trying to explain you what is macro all about. I'll take one more example, which you call it as multi-line macro, where you will understand how a macro call is replaced by its definition. Let's go back to the slides. So I assume this is understood. If you have any doubt in this part, just comment below. So for every occurrence of a macro, the whole macro body or macro block of statements gets expanded in the main source code. Thus, macro instructions make writing code more convenient. To process macro instruction, most assemblers use preprocessor, which are known as macroprocessor. In other words, to process this macros or to expand a macro instruction, pay attention, to expand a macro instruction, we need what is known as macroprocessor. So I hope you have understood why do we need macroprocessor. The macroprocessor, as I said, replaces every macro instruction with its corresponding sequence of statements, which is also known as macro expansion. As I said, languages like C and C++ has built-in facilities for writing macros. So how does a macroprocessor work? Macroprocessor first recognizes the macro definitions in the program. It then saves these macro definitions. It then identifies where these macros are called. Wherever the macro is being called, the macroprocessor replaces that macro call with its corresponding definition. Every macro call is replaced by its corresponding macro definition, and this is known as expansion of macro. This diagram will make it more understandable. So I have a source code with macro. This source code is given as an input to macroprocessor. When this macroprocessor gets its input, it identifies where the definitions are. It then saves the macro definition. It then identifies where the macro calls are, and then it replaces every macro call with its corresponding definition, which is nothing but expansion of macro. Hence, the output of the macroprocessor is my expanded code. And this expanded code is then submitted to compiler or an assembler, whose output is nothing but an object code. So, the salient features of macroprocessor are: macro represents a group of commonly used statements in the source programming language. I'll take an example for that. Macroprocessor replaces each macro instruction with corresponding group of source language statement, which is known as expansion of macro. Using macro instruction, programmer can leave the mechanical details to be handled by the macroprocessor. So we need not worry about the data types and all when we are writing the macro. The macroprocessor takes care of it. Macroprocessor designs are not directly related to computer architecture on which it runs. Every macroprocessor or every macro processing technique involves defining a macro, calling a macro, and expanding it. So invocation of macro is nothing but, invocation of macro is nothing but macro call. Okay? Let us take an example to understand this. I'll take one more example where we will be finding factorial of a number. So I will write a C program. Here again, I'll define my macro. Say I'll define my macro as fact. So please pay attention. Here, if you just observe, this is my macro name, and this is the parameter on which my macro will be working. Now, since you know factorial of a number has more than one line of code. So if you have multi-line macro, you tell your system that the macro has more lines of code by adding a slash at the end of every line. So this is the program for factorial, assuming the logic is known to everybody. I write the code for I is equal to 1, I less than equal to n, I plus plus. And since the lines of code are still existing, I again put, this is not required. Okay. I again put a slash. I again put a slash. Then I say fact is equal to fact into I. Again put a slash. I close this. Again put a slash. Because I need to write more line of code. And the output will be printed here only. You can print it in your main also. Print x factorial is equal to %d comma f is fact. So if you just observe, this is the place where I am having sequential lines of instruction. I am grouping these lines of instruction into one line of abbreviated code, which is fact of n. So instead of writing these lines in my program, I will be writing only fact of n, and my program still will be calculating the factorial of a number. Let us see how. So here I'll say hash include stdio.h. Then I'll have int name. Now, just for your information, the variables which we have used inside our macro definition has to be declared where your macro will be expanded. So my macro is going to be expanded in this particular function. Hence, I have declared my variables inside main. I will simply call my macro here. I will simply call my macro here, and then I just say return 0. So to explain your pay attention, this is my macro definition where this is the name of my macro. These are the sequential line of instructions. These are the sequential line of instructions, and this is the function where I have invoked my macro or I have called my macro. As we have understood, whenever a macro processor gets a program with macro defined it will first recognize the macro definition, then it will save this definition, it will recognize the macro call. So here the macro call is recognized. This macro call is replaced by these highlighted lines. So fact 5 will be replaced by the highlighted lines, and hence you get the output. Let us see. I'll say this as fact using fact underscore macro. Let us see whether we get the output or not. So we have got the output, that is 120. Let us see. So this is the output over here. I hope this is understood. Let us get back to the slide. So this was all about macro processing. Let's go to linker and loader. Linker and loader are the two system programs that play a vital role in the execution of program. So whenever any high-level language program is being executed, the execution will remain incomplete if we do not have linker and loader. So what are the functions carried out by linker and loader? A linker is a special program that combines the object files generated by the compiler or the assembler. So we have already understood when I took the assembler as a system program, we saw that the input to an assembler is an assembly language and the output of an assembler is an object file. Whenever we are developing any software, we create more than one object file. The work of linker is to combine all these object files together and to create one exe file for my software. A linker is also known as link editor, is responsible for combining various object modules into one object file. So linker basically combines all the object files which are created because of the software, and it combines all these object files into one object file, and that object file will be having an extension .exe. In the object file, the linker searches and appends all libraries needed for the execution of the file. It regulates the memory space that will hold the code from each module. It also merges two or more separate object program and establishes a link among them. So when it is getting all the object program together, it makes sure that the first object program is linked to the second is linked to third, and so on, such that our software works flawlessly. Function of linker. Linker accepts the object module and extracts all the information out of it. The linker then locates the required library routine and other programs and combines them with target code. So whatever of header files we have used in our program, the linker connects those header files with my program, and then it creates the target code. It then generates a machine language program. This machine language program or binary program is self-efficient of executing all alone without the assistance of another program. Because linker has connected all the libraries with the target code, the output of the linker will be one object program which is self-sufficient of executing without the assistance of other program. So this was all about linker. Loader. A loader is a system program that loads or places the machine language program. So the output of linker was my machine level program, or it was one object file. Now it is the function of loader to take that one object file and place it into main memory for execution. I assume most of you all knows that a program will be executed only if it is loaded into main memory. So taking that object file or taking that exe file and loading it into main memory for execution is the function of loader. The linker generates the binary program and places it on the hard disk. The loader locates this executable binary program from the hard disk and loads it into main memory. So linker and loader works one after another. Linker was responsible for creating one single object file whose extension is .exe, and then it places this object file onto the hard disk. Then the loader comes into picture. The loader will identify this executable binary program, and it will load this binary program into main memory for execution. The loader is also responsible for performing relocation. So if you just remember my previous video, we had studied the assembler is responsible for creating relocatable code. Relocatable code is what we had understood. So why the code is relocatable is taken care over here. So the relocatable code is basically taken care by loader. So just to summarize, linker and loader works hand in hand. Linker is responsible for combining multiple object file into single object file, and it places that one object file onto the hard disk. Linker is responsible to find out this executable binary program on the hard disk, and it loads it into the main memory for further execution. Apart from this work, loader is also responsible for performing relocation. What is relocation? What are the functions of loader? All those things will be taken in the next lecture. So in the next lecture, we will be looking about the functions of loader, how linker is different from loader. We will also see compiler as a system program and interpreter as a system program. I assume you have understood whatever was taken in this lecture. If you have any doubt regarding macros, if you want any more examples on macros, do let me know in the comment so that I can take more examples in the upcoming videos. Thank you.